Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. So what you're looking at is a John Deere 575, and I've managed to lose almost $5,000 on this machine. So let's go through this. And if anybody asks you the simple question, do you want to buy a used skid steer cheap? The proper answer to the question is no. Maybe if you get it for free and you could use the parts somewhere else, you could say yes. But if somebody's asking you to open your wallet, do not buy a used skid steer. So this machine began its life approximately 38 years ago, and it was bought and maintained by a place in Massachusetts for the mentally disabled, and it was used primarily as a plow machine, and it was primarily used in the winter. It has about 1,900 hours on the clock, and if you take a few minutes doing math, using machine 50-60 hours a year for moving snow around, it actually makes sense. From there, it went to a couple of years of disuse, and in 2022, a friend of mine bought it at an auction for $5,000 plus he had to transport it home and get it on a trailer and the whole shooting match. He got it running again. The injector pistons were seized. He managed to loosen those up and get it running again. He put a battery into it. He fixed the tires. You know, he put some time and effort into it, and then he put it up for sale, and he lost about $1,000 on it, maybe a little more. Yeah, I think he lost a full grand on it. So in steps me. So I get it, and the starter's acting up a little bit. So what I do, it takes me a while to dig up a starter, and I get a starter in there that works but is not completely the right starter. This is the starter that came out of it, right? That activates the solenoid. This is here where the power comes in, and this lug actually is where the starter motor gets power, right? You put power here, it completes the circuit, engages the clutch, and puts power to the starter motor. Notice it's loose. There was an extra lug that went here that operates a solenoid on the fuel injector, turning it on, the fuel injector pump, turning it on. And it's only turns it on for a moment, and then it hangs there while the engine's running, while you're pumping diesel fuel. Without the ability to turn that on, now you got a loose wire that you got to keep touching against the battery every time you want to start it. So the machine sat right there for 3 years, and what I did was I put in an auxiliary fuel tank. I replaced the electric fuel pump. I put in a return line. I figured that thing out about the starting solenoid, and I actually got the thing to run. And this is where it landed, the little fuel tank. I don't know how well you could see it down there, right there. You can see the hose goes into the gas cap. That's the return line. It goes into the pump pumps into the filter, and from the filter you go to the fuel injectors. I bled the whole thing out, classic diesel stuff, and you know, the engine started right up, and the engine purred like a kitten. The engine in this thing is in really nice shape. It's only got 1,900 hours on it. These things go 5,000 or more if they're cared for, and believe it or not, this thing was cared for. So once it was running and all, I had made arrangements. I was going to get $1,500 worth of credit for it. Somebody wanted to use it. They were going to fix it up and use it for their a very long driveway, right? And the person who was going to work on it is familiar with diesels and all that. So literally, they backed their truck up, and I think by the spill on the ground, you guys could guess what happened. So we had it on its way up its ramps. It was kind of a steep thing, and the front wheels were lifting off the ground, but we were doing okay. Then the engine stalled. I don't know if it stalled because it was tilted too much or if it was a fuel thing, but it stalled. So what we did is we backed it on down, we topped up the fuel tank, and we tried again. And it made it, and it was just going to crest the top, just going to drive onto the trailer. I only had 5 feet to go, and it was more or less a level 5 feet. And suddenly it stopped moving, and we looked under it, and it puked all over the driveway. Massive hydraulic leak, a hemorrhage that you couldn't believe. And you could see I went through a pound of baby powder plus a full bag of cat litter to clean up the mess. And here it sits, because if the guy can't get it on his truck, he doesn't want it. He also doesn't want it if it doesn't move, and he really doesn't want it if it's going to puke fluid all over the place. And if you take a quick look inside and look under that seat and all, you realize how painful it would be to replace a hydraulic line. And to go a step further, this thing is pushing 40 years old. And if we keep wanting to go additional steps, chances are other hydraulic lines are right behind that. So, here we have it. A $5,000 loss. So I'm going to put this video up today, and if anybody happens to need a John Deere 575, and I'll take a quick, I really don't want to smash my fingers again. This might be upside down, but do your best to read it. That's the story you can find on the engine. And as a matter of fact, I'll even take a picture of the plate in here. There you go, so you can see the serial number and all that other trivia. And as I'm backing away, you can see what the inside of it looks like. It started, it ran, it moved, it drove itself here. It needs more work than I'm willing to put into it. So I got to make that statement. It does seem to have a charging problem. It has a hydraulic leak, and you might say there's some corrosion on the bucket. You could see how they had a mount in here for a plow. They probably used, but in my guesstimation, given the way the rest of it looks, they were probably moving around salty piles of snow with it also. If anybody out there has this amazing need for this machine, I live, how do you describe this? Near the Route 84 and Lime Kiln Road in it's called East Fishkill, New York. You would have to show up with a trailer and something to winch it up, and I'd like to get something out of it. It weighs about 4,000 pounds, so I could call a guy who junks cars and he'll drag it up and give me 10 cents a pound for it. So that sets the base price at about 400 bucks. So if somebody calls up and says, God, I need that diesel, you know what the diesel's worth. Oh, I need those 4 tires and they hold air. You know what that's worth. Oh, I need a couple of cylinders. You know what they're worth. You know, would I buy it in hopes of bringing it back to life and using it? Unless you're a young person who likes to work really hard on junk, I would not recommend this. I made a mistake, plain and simple. You know, every once in a while, even the best of us mess up. And this was my mess up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope the people that watch it learn something from my mistakes. And quite honestly, I also hope that you learn that everybody messes up a little bit. This was my mess up. Learn from it. But if you do foul up, you fix it and you go forward. A broken machine for an old guy with a heart condition. We all don't mix anymore. This needs a new home. Okay, once again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.